Salutations, respected viewers. This is George from Ireland. Here I am on Harcourt Street in Dublin. And behind me is the house where John Henry Cardinal Newman resided during his time in Dublin. He was the first Chancellor of the Catholic University of Ireland. Well, what's the background of Newman? He was born in England to an upper middle class family. They were members of the Church of England. He went to Oriel College, Oxford, and he was ordained a priest in the Church of England. A great many Oxford graduates in the 19th century were, so I think like a third of them became clergy, or almost all of them Anglican clergy, a few from some of the minor Protestant denominations, especially towards the end of the 19th century, might have been Baptists or Methodists or something. And then at the end of the 19th century, Catholics could attend Oxford University, so a few of them became Catholic priests. But anyway, in his day at Oxford, like the 1820s and 30s, it was an almost exclusively Anglican institution. And the Oxford movement started. And that was a group within the Church of England who believed that the Church of England should rediscover its Catholic roots. Not to have the Pope as the head of their church, but simply to revive some of the practices that had been dropped at the time of the Reformation. They would call their priests father, they would believe in transubstantiation, they could have monks and nuns again, they would introduce ritual into the Church of England. They felt it had become too palely Protestant, had thrown the baby out with the bathwater. So that was the Oxford movement, talking about the seven sacraments and so forth. So he started along this road. He started living the life of a Benedictine monk, even though he was not a monk ever, never sworn into any order, but just living largely as a hermit towards the end of this time. And they published various tracts, the Oxford movement. They were known as the Tractarians, as in these religious texts. And then it came to Tract 90, and he brought things to their logical conclusion. He'd said that Anglicanism was compatible with many Catholic practices. There would be Anglo-Catholics, there wouldn't be Roman Catholics. But then he finally crossed the Tiber. That means he became a Roman Catholic. He recognised the Pope as the head of his church. So that was that. Cardinal Newman, a priest of the Church of England, became a Catholic priest. And it was a time of a revival of Roman Catholicism in England. And he later was raised to be a cardinal. So the Pope can appoint any man cardinal. I think, strictly speaking, one actually doesn't have to be ordained. Having said that, I've never heard of a layman being ordained a cardinal. Usually cardinal's already an archbishop, occasionally he's a bishop. It's whoever the Pope chooses to make a cardinal. Anyway, here in the 19th century, there was a demand from the Catholic community for a Catholic university, since Trinity College Dublin was the only university in Ireland, and that was run by the Church of Ireland, which is very much a minority religious denomination. So finally, the Queen's Colleges were established in 1846, although I think it was the Bishop of Cork said that the famine was divine retribution for accepting these godless colleges. Anyway, but later a specifically Catholic university was set up here in Dublin, not on this particular site, and Newman was the head of it because he was a very distinguished Catholic clergyman and obviously had experience in educational administration. This is where he lived for a time before returning to England, so he lived to a very great age, and that's where he passed away. And he was beatified when His Holiness the Pope visited England in 2010. So Benedict XVI put Newman on the first step towards sainthood. I don't think any miracles have been attributed to intercession by Cardinal Newman, but if you're a very morally outstanding person, you can become a saint that way as well. So may well be canonized. That is Newman.